New tank goofing.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, hobby maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and in this video we're going to unbox and build and show you hopefully how to magnetize or at least modularize all the weapons on the Kratos Heavy Assault Tank for Horus, Heresy, and games of Warhammer 40k. It does have 40k rules. I don't know how often it's going to see playing there, but it's got rules, and that's step one, right? This tank is $125. Of course, don't forget you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com. Amazon, hopefully your local game store, or of course you can buy from Games Workshop. But if you don't like the prices of things, always remember, vote with your hobby dollars. Don't buy from Games Workshop. Buy from one of the retailers. You cut their profits in half. It's crazy. And well, they'll take notice eventually. Okay, so here's the different versions of this tank you can make, of course with some different spots and heavy bolters. I got the Volkite Culvern, the Volkite Carinadal. I'm not even going to say that word anymore. The big Volkite, the little Volkite, and big Volkite, Melta blast gun, and then of course the battle cannon, auto cannon thing, very similar to what we saw on the Sikaran tank. So let's jump into it. So here's everything that comes in the box. It slides out on the side here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sprues. Seems to be the theme. There's 6 for the Spartan as well. It's going to come with that same vehicle accessory sprue that we saw in the past, a little decal sheet. I don't remember decal sheet being a starter, and the instructions themselves. Jumping into the instructions here, this is the meat and potatoes of the actual kit itself. We can see it's that same Horus Heresy or Necromunda or Blood Bowl style layout for the instructions. It isn't the multi-part with the different shading colors and things to really help you, but I haven't seen any problems putting together the starters so far. Haven't had any issues or anything like that, so I think it's fine. It looks like two exactly similar, or I guess the identical, the mirror half of the tread sections here, and they have a lot of these L5s. What I definitely recommend is cutting out all of the track sections and laying them out. It looks like it starts with L3 and there's only one of those, and L4 all the way up to L8. And then these two panels, the armor panels, track guards, whatever you want to call them on the front, look very similar, except for one has a single indentation and the other one has a double indentation, and they probably match up on the side here as well. If you get confused, that should help you right there. If you cut all the parts out and then forget which one's which, you should be able to tell in theory, but we'll find out here in a second. And then from there, looks like you assemble the front, the top, and then the front and the back, and then where the smokestacks go, the exhaust, and another notch piece. And then you put the two sides together. It doesn't look like anything crazy. Having done the Sikaran in the past from Forge World in resin, it was a little bit of a bear, and the sides wouldn't match up with the fuselage in a lot of cases. Then it's got hole-mounted weapons as well that slightly track, it looks like, on individual little, I guess those aren't sponsons, but they track, they're hole-mounted, so okay. And it looks like it's got that tongue and groove system for the side sponsons that we saw with the Spartan as well. And then for the turret-mounted weapons, you have these 3 options that we talked about: the Vig Volkite, the Melta blast gun, and the Kratos battle cannon. It looks like the turret goes together pretty much the same for all of them, and then you choose which version. Well, we don't like choosing here. We want to future-proof our minis, so we'll figure out a workaround there, which I'm thinking is keeping the top off and then magnetizing the various areas to actually hold the different bits and the different ammo sections or feeds or power supplies, whatever they are supposed to do. I think we can make that work. And then on the side, the sponson mountain weapons, looks like you have a choice of 4, including a heavy flamer. That's interesting. And then they lock in like we saw, and then you can put different searchlight, smoke launchers, hunter killers, all the things. And then it has nope, still not there. So you got the pintle options, which we're not going to show any of that because we're doing that with our Demios unboxing and build. So we're just going to skip that for now. And there it is. There's the ginormous dozer blade that makes absolutely no sense. I don't like it. I don't like it because I don't think it's needed. I think the Sikaran design kind of looks great without it, but I don't know. I haven't read the rules. I don't know if that's extra, if it's a 15-point upgrade and it lets you reroll difficult terrain checks like it used to. I don't know, man. I haven't read this book. I got to put all these models together. I don't know. But let me tell you what, I think you're going to have to, just judging by the weight and the girth of this, I don't think it's going to be modularizable, magnetizable, or any of the, just because looking at where it's positioned. It's going to be interesting. So let's take a look at the sprues, because I don't like that notch system there. It doesn't give you enough. There's nothing holding it in except for glue. If you use magnets, it's going to droop. And unless you use some sort of pinning system, it's not going to line up, and I don't think there's enough space there. But we'll look at it. Let's grab the sprues and see what's what. First sprue is an oldie but a goodie. It's that accessory sprue that we saw with the Spartan already. So enough said. We're not going to super talk about it. We're not even going to do much with it except for the cutout. I think it's piece H2, that's just the normal hatch. That will be in a future video if you want to see how to magnetize all those bits. Then we've got the sponson bit, like the sponson bit for the Spartan. It does come with the whole sponson assembly itself. And then this time there is only those grapplers right there to hold a single stack of weapons, and they aren't separate. They're also part of that tongue and groove system, it looks like, which is really interesting. So that looks very well detailed, and all the barrels, nozzles are separate, so they're probably going to have that pre-drilled look to them. First sprue up is it looks like the front fuselage, the bottom, and the top plate, some of the exhaust and things. Very pretty standard stuff here, and I don't know what that goes to. I would imagine it's part of the huge dozer blade. And then there's two of these sprues, which look to, just like I said, be complete mirror images of each other. Let's see. Oh, and they pretty much are. And then it looks like they even put parts of the dozer blade in here. So there's probably a left and right half, and that explains what that bit is right there. That's your centerpiece that the left and right half is built off of. If I had a guess, well, we'll find out here in a second. And then the thing that makes it what it is the top piece. So in theory, they could put out more variants of this, and the top would just be the different top weapons like we saw in the past. I mean, the Fellblade has different weapons. The Sakaran has way different weapons. I mean, the Fellblade has, you have a glaive, you have a falchion. Sakaran has like 5 different top mounts. So in theory, they could do that. They could just put out a new kit with a new sprue on top because of the way they've designed it. So it wouldn't surprise me. All of this is self-contained here, so it looks like everything is just slotted into this, and it's got that round look to it, very similar to what we've seen in the past with the Mark 1. I guess it's the I don't know what pattern it is from Forge World for the Predator, but also the glaive, which has a very similar glaive weapon here to the glaive for the Legions. I don't see anything quite crazy on this, but I'm thinking that we can still do some magic and make all the versions of this here as well. I'm not sure what my strategy is going to be, but I'm excited to get started. All right, man, what an exciting build. We were able to almost make it all 100% modular, and I just want to start out with that. All the weapons and all the options pretty much are modular, but you'll notice, well, there goes the turret. Anyways, you'll notice on the front that there is no dozer blade, and that is because, well, I didn't glue it on. And I wanted to try to magnetize it, and I looked at doing some plates and some metal plates and some magnets and things. And at the end of the day, I just don't think it's doable. I think it's a bridge too far, and I don't think it's worth it. You could, in theory, drill these out, or even put magnets on, ginormous magnets on the other side of these before you even glue the sides on. Just put this together. It's one of the last steps, and then you can see where I put the metal plates on there already. The problem is that there's too much downward force on this. It's too heavy, and there's no way to get some way to attach it to the front here. So you need an opposite force also holding it in, and just magnets are just good enough to keep it from, falling off, but it's still gonna droop, and it's not gonna look right. And I don't know how necessary this thing even is, and I think if you're gonna carry it around and do stuff, it's not an obnoxious size that you wouldn't just want to glue it on and be done with it, I suppose. But that's just my 2 cents, and don't listen to me. If you want to figure out a better way, hey, please, by all means, and leave a comment and be like, Rob, you're a big dumb. I did it. Here's how I did it. And I would be very appreciative that you were able. I think that's upside down, isn't it? that you were able to go ahead and figure that one out, which I think would be very, very neat. Now, since I've already taken it all apart right here, I guess I've already spoiled how this turret is going to work. But let's talk, now that everything has fallen apart. Oh my goodness. All right, let's talk about the size, since we'll get that out of the way before I break everything off of here again. So size-wise, it is bigger than a Sicaran. It is roughly the same size as the Spartan. So there's a Chimera. Unfortunately, I don't have my Resin Spartan or my Sicarans or anything like that. I had to sell all my Heresy army basically to afford a new heat pump here at the house because, well, it was getting cold, and I don't like cold. But that being said, we're nice and warm and nice and cold now. So thank you to our friend that purchased that army for us, so we could keep ourselves warm. Yay! So that being said, I don't have those old Iron Warriors army anymore, unfortunately. So I collected that for 20 years, and it was super fun. And now we're moving on to do other things. So you can see it's the same size as the Spartan, and which is really neat. And on the Forge World side of things, it's very comparable to the Macarius as well that we already showed you, and weighs way less because, man, let me tell you what, this is a chunk of resin right here. Great miniature chunk of resin. Now that we got that out of the way, let's show you all the cool stuff about it as I try not to wreck it again. So here, you don't have to magnetize these weapons. They actually plug right in, which is kind of crazy. That you are able to do that and just use the little all the bits right there, and they track up and down and they won't fall out or anything like that. And if they are a little loose, you can do our little trick of putting a little bit of that super thin Tamiya glue on here, and that'll just make it a little bit thicker so that it will slot in and have that tolerance, which is really cool and super easy to do. And speaking of tolerances, this little tongue and groove system right here works really, really well. And when you pull this off, it doesn't have I mean, you can basically put it any way you want, and it doesn't fall off, it doesn't droop, which is really cool, which is a huge problem with the Forge World ones. But if you want to future-proof your Mini and switch these out, you actually can without the use of any magnets. You can just pull this top plug out and this bottom plug right here, and then just switch out the weapon. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do a heavy flamer. The only thing you need to be aware of is that there's a little notch in the back of one of these parts, and one of the parts doesn't have that notch, and that notch is for the ammo feed, or the power line, I guess, rather, for those weapons. So it plugs in there, and then you just bring the sensor back down and squeeze it together, and it won't fall out, and it still has that range of motion. And the way you're probably like, holy crap, how did you do that without, I just knocked that down with my thumb. How did you get that to work without any issues? And the way we did it, and this one's a little snug on the top here, is we used that super thin Tamiya glue again. And we actually put some in the bottom here, so you can see it's a little shiny. We put a bunch in there to give it that tolerance, so this thing locks in from the bottom. But on the top, you don't have to do it. You just put some of it on the sensor bit, and there's only 2 sensor bits, so that one's really easy. And then you just line them up like this and slot them in, and make sure you got that little notch at the back for the power feed. And oops, missed. It's a little bit harder doing it through the not zoomed in on the camera here. That goes to the front. But when you're a little bit closer, you can do this a lot easier. So there you go. And then it tracks, and you can switch out. There's the Volkite, and there's a las cannon, and there's the heavy flamer, and the heavy bolter. But it's super easy. And so far, we've been able to do everything. Oops, I dropped that out. Oh, man. So far, we've been able to do anything. And if this gives you, if any particular weapon gives you fits, just put a little bit more of the plastic glue on there. I don't think I had it lined up right. A little bit more of the plastic glue on there, and it should stay locked in. But don't glue it in. Let it dry on the stem or in the hole before you reattach it, so it doesn't actually become permanent. Now, let's take a look at how we did the turret. So the turret was kind of a treat, to be honest, because it was shockingly easy to do once I kind of got my head around it. So let me take that turret off, the hatch off. So there's this top plate here, and everything either slots into the back or on top right here. And then there's the same weapon cowl for each of them. So the weapon cowl, I didn't bother magnetizing. I just put a little piece of blue tack on there. Nobody can see it. It ain't even a thing. It's like it doesn't even exist, but it works wonders. And then you don't glue in this top plate. It's got enough tolerance that it just locks in, and you don't have to worry about any of that. And then you remove that. And remember, when you prime this stuff, it's going to be a lot more tight tolerance and things too. And then you can just literally slot in the coaxial, the main weapon, whichever one it might be. But the one thing you are going to have to do is just take a piece of sprue and cut it to length to fit flush across here, about in the middle, give or take. And then take a 1/4-inch magnet, put one there, and a 1/4-inch magnet, put one there. So this magnet actually works at attracting this magnet, and something else that we'll show you here in a second. And then each of the back plates that go on there, there's 3 of them. There's this one for the battle cannon, and this one for the, I don't know what this, I guess that's for the Volkite, maybe? Oh, that's for the, no, that's not for the Malta. Yeah, I guess that's for the Volkite. I don't know which one's which at this point. One of these goes on the top, one of these goes on the back. And then there's this whole plate piece right here that just attaches all the way around it for the Volkite. So I'll show you all of the builds. We just did the first one, so that one was easy. And then we can do the Melta, the big Melta here. And this one just locks in like that. Put this on. Put your weapon cowl back on. It'll just literally just squish it down with the blue tack, and you figure out what weapon goes on the back. I think it's this one. Oh, maybe it goes up like this. I don't know which way it goes. Oh yeah, it does go like that because it what the heck? Oh. I don't know what's going on. I have to reconfigure that one. Might have something might have slid apart right there, but then it's got this, oh, that's what it is. And then there's this top plate here that goes on, and we put a magnet in that, and that magnet actually attracts to the backwards one. And not only that, but it helps keep the top plate on. Not that it needed a bunch of help or anything. I think that's how that goes. It looks like, because it's got the notch right there. I don't know what happened. Oh, there's a little piece of glue that I think the glue kind of seeped out a little bit. It was sitting flush. But anyways, you get the idea there. So there you have the multi-melta build. And then if you take all that off, pull this back out, grab your weapon cowl bit, put your Volkite bit on, same deal, tighten it back up, smush this back down, and then it's got the whole piece that goes across, and it covers up that back, and there's a little cord thing right there too. So then you've got that, and then all of that goes back into here, and now you've got all your weapon options, and you don't have to choose. You can switch them all out, including the hole mounted ones, which is just plain nuts in my opinion. So yeah, overall, a really cool kit to build. If you figure out how to, what even is going on with this dozer blade, let us know in the comments. Like, I think it looks great without it, but some people like it. I don't know, whatever. But everything else is fully magnetized or fully modular. Some of it magnetizable, most of it not. But I think if you're gonna go ahead and, you know, future-proof your minis for both game systems, you might as well just slap a couple extra magnets in there, and you know, you're good to go at that point. It's not even any fuss or anything like that. So that is it for this one. Thank you for watching and listening to our long-winded explanation and a walk down you know, memory lane, I guess, in some ways right there. Overall, I think it's a very cool kit. $125 is the retail price on this one, which I imagine might be the price of the Spartan as well when it comes out separately. Compared to Forge World, it doesn't seem too bad, but in GW money, it still is a lot of in GW money it's okay, but in real money it's definitely a lot of money. So if you don't like the pricing on Games Workshop items, please be sure to vote with your hobby dollars, you know, pick them up from a retailer where you cut the GW's profits in half, and eventually, you know, maybe they'll figure out, maybe they'll get the message like, hey, a lot of people don't buy directly from us because our prices are high. Or, you know, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just fine for you. All hobbies are expensive. This one is definitely no exception. So, like I said, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/SpikeyBits.